Have you ever tried to squeeze through a really narrow hallway at school when everybody's rushing between classes? Maybe you've had to twist, dodge, and wiggle your way through without bumping into backpacks and elbows. Now imagine doing that, but instead of kids in backpacks, you've got sea monsters snapping at you from one side and a giant whirlpool on the other. Yikes! That's exactly the kind of problem ancient sailors faced in a famous Greek myth. And today, we're going to meet one of those scary creatures, Scylla. Scylla wasn't your average sea monster. Nope, she was one of the most feared creatures in all of Greek mythology. Picture this. She had the upper body of a woman, but from her waist down grew 6 long, snaky necks, each ending in a snapping, hungry, dog-like head with sharp teeth. That's 6 heads in total, all waiting to chomp on unlucky sailors. And to make things worse, her body wasn't just big, it was fused into the side of a rocky cliff. She was like part monster, part mountain. Creepy, right? Who were her neighbors? On the other side of the narrow strait lived Charybdis, a giant whirlpool that could swallow ships whole. So Scylla and Charybdis made sailing through that spot almost impossible. In myths, the great hero Odysseus had to pass between them on his way home. It was a classic lose-lose choice. Get too close to Scylla and lose some of your men, or get too close to Charybdis and lose your entire ship. One of the most famous stories about Scylla comes from Homer's Odyssey. Odysseus, the clever king, was sailing home from the Trojan War. His ship had already faced storms, giants, and even the one-eyed Cyclops. Now he reached the narrow channel where Scylla and Charybdis waited. The sorceress Circe had warned him, "Stay away from Charybdis, or she'll swallow your whole ship. Better to pass near Scylla. You'll lose some men, but at least your ship will survive." So Odysseus steered close to Scylla, hoping maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't notice. But Scylla always noticed. As the ship crept along the rocks, her 6 heads darted down and snatched 6 of Odysseus's sailors, one with each head. The rest of the crew rowed as fast as they could, hearts pounding, until they escaped. It was a terrible loss, but they survived the strait. Have you ever had to make a tough choice? Like choosing between 2 not-so-great options? Maybe at lunch, you forgot your sandwich, and your choices are the school's mystery casserole, or nothing at all. Not fun, right? That's what sailors faced with Scylla and Charybdis. Both were bad, but one was a little less bad than the other. Just like in life, sometimes we have to choose the better of 2 tricky options. Now, let's connect this myth to real science. The Greeks told these stories because sailing was super dangerous back then. Many scholars think Scylla and Charybdis were based on real natural dangers. Scylla might have been inspired by jagged rocks along the Italian coast. Sail too close and your ship could be smashed and sailors snatched by the sea. Charybdis, on the other hand, was probably inspired by a whirlpool near Sicily, where powerful currents pull water down and spin it around. Even today, whirlpools can suck in small boats. So in a way, Scylla and Charybdis were myth versions of real dangers. Sharp rocks and whirlpools turned into monsters to make the warning unforgettable. Ancient people often explain nature with stories because they didn't yet have science textbooks or weather apps. So what about today and the future? Well, ships still sail near dangerous straits, but now we have radar, GPS, and sonar to help us avoid rocks and whirlpools. In the future, maybe AI-powered ships will sail themselves, safely guiding through tricky spots that would have terrified sailors thousands of years ago. And here's a fun thought. Astronauts exploring space might face their own versions of Scylla and Charybdis. Imagine having to fly a spaceship between two black holes. Just like Odysseus, they'll need bravery, cleverness, and maybe a little luck to survive. So the lesson of Scylla still matters. Sometimes the safest path isn't perfect, but it's the one that gets you through to the other side. So what did we learn today? Scylla wasn't just a scary monster. She was a warning about real dangers at sea. Her story reminds us that sometimes we have to make tough choices, and that even in myths, there's a bit of real science hiding inside. Next time you're stuck between two tricky options, just remember, if Odysseus could sail past Scylla, you can handle your challenge too. Thanks for joining me on this Myth Meets Science adventure. Until next time, keep your curiosity wide open and your sails steady. Bye!